And finally, at number 1, and the only game this episode to get a commendation, is Civolution. So Stefan Feld, kind of the polar opposite of Uwe Rosenberg to me. Almost all of his games gel with me. You know, they fit like a glove because I tend to like the way that he thinks and designs games. This one kind of borrows a lot from his other games, but it's a much more grandiose, more ambitious design with much more going on. As the name of the game would suggest, this is kind of a civilization game, or civilization game I should say, where you are improving your technology as you go, and this game certainly has that. But it is more built on the foundation of, you know, Euro trappings, dice manipulation, moving around the map, spawning new troops, controlling areas, this kind of thing, rather than those traditional civilization style games. So as I said earlier, this one does borrow a lot from other Stefan Feld games. For example, the main driving system of the game is dice, which works a lot like the dice system in the Castles of Burgundy, but instead of using one die, in this one you're always using a pair of dice to activate a particular action. You have like 20 odd actions here, like 25 actions or so, that you can take, and that sounds a lot, and it is a lot, but when you actually play it, it's not too bad because all the actions broken down are very logical and easy to resolve. You know, for example, move your tribes around, or create a new tribe, or play a card. They're all pretty simple on what you can do, but it's the magnitude and the sheer buffet of options that you have at any time that makes this really crunchy. And I don't want to undersell it in terms of just being broad in terms of your decisions. The actual layers of the gameplay here is really rich as well, because you need to prioritize things at the right time, because you have end of round objectives that can give you huge benefits if you beat your opponents to them. But also each game is going to have a different kind of ratio or return on different strategies that you take in terms of the return of points you get by following those particular strategies. So tons of variability here. I love the way you can tailor your engine to do different things, and maybe this game you want to be really good at exploring. Next game you could be really good at hunting, and so on. So you are spinning a lot of plates here, but I like the way that you can't do everything at all times. You need to best utilize the dice that you've rolled. Now, one of the main criticisms you'll get from this game is that for such a heavy game and complex game, you are pigeonholed by the dice that you've rolled. And yes, that is true, but if you are in that position for a lot of the game, then you have kind of done that yourself, because you always have an option to take these idea tokens, which essentially work as your workers, like in the Castles of Burgundy, that lets you mitigate the dice to what you want them to be. You can take these place markers that can act as basically dummy dice. So there's lots of mitigation tools here. And every time I've seen anybody sulk about this game not going their way, it's always because they failed to take those mitigation tools as an option, because they see that as a wasted move, where in reality that's a great move to make, because they've just saved themselves making several suboptimal moves in the future. Again, so much to talk about here. This one, when I first played it, I liked it a lot, but of course you're still getting to grips with things and seeing what happens when you pull certain buttons or push certain buttons. The more I've played this one, the more I'm starting to really appreciate the layers of gameplay here. Just the amount of different ways you can tackle it is fascinating. And for such a complex game, it is remarkably smooth and easy to play. Now, I taught this one recently to my girlfriend, who's basically dipping her toe into board games, and she had a great time with it and managed to get to grips quite quickly. Apologies for the siren there. So yeah, this one I had very, very high hopes for, and this one lived up, maybe even exceeded my expectations, and is definitely one of my favourite games of the year, and one of my favourite Stefan Feld games, which is saying something. So that is Civolution at number 1.